Have you ever stopped to think about what will happen when no one ever knocks on your door again? When your children are far away, your friends have left, and all that remains is the silence of your home. It may sound harsh, and it is, but that is the reality for millions of people who are aging alone, without even realizing it. The problem is that if you don't prepare now, you might find out too late that the greatest enemy of longevity is not age. It's the lack of emotional, spiritual, and mental preparation. If this topic touches you in some way, I invite you to subscribe to the channel before life catches you off guard, because what I'm about to reveal in this video is not taught out there. I'm a geriatric doctor, and I've been studying the secrets of healthy aging, disease prevention, and what truly sustains well-being in later life for years, and I can assure you, there are truths that, if ignored, cost dearly. Today I'm going to show you what no one dares to say about growing old alone. We'll talk about the emotional risks no one ever mentioned, the importance of maintaining simple bonds, the value of faith when everything goes silent, and how your mind can be your worst enemy or your best ally in this process. All of this is based on real-life cases, medical studies, and lessons learned from those who have already been through it and survived with resilience. So, if you want to ensure a long life with dignity, awareness, and peace, watch until the very end. Because in this video, you will find answers that most people only discover when it's too late. And I guarantee you, knowing this now can completely transform the way you will live your coming years. Let's get started. The harsh truth. Growing old alone is more common than it seems. It's curious how loneliness seems like a distant problem until it knocks on your door. Many people go through life without even imagining that one day they will be dining alone, walking silently through the rooms of their house, waiting for a phone call that never comes. Solitary aging is a phenomenon that grows along with the aging population, yet few have the courage to face it head-on. Health in later life is not just about having your medical checkups in order. It primarily depends on the emotional bonds that withstand the passage of time. The problem is that these bonds, most of the time, dissolve before we even realize it. Children who move to another city, friends who leave, neighbors who disappear, and suddenly the circle that was once filled with voices becomes just an echo. This is not about drama, but about one of the quietest risk factors for an elder's health: emotional abandonment. Various studies demonstrate that chronic loneliness is associated with an increase in cardiovascular diseases, dementia, and even premature death. However, no one prepares the elderly for that possibility, and many believe that will never happen to me. That is where the danger lies. Growing old alone does not mean being discarded. It actually means facing a new way of living that demands emotional resilience, purpose, and a rare ability, the ability to find meaning even in the quietest days. The difference between being alone and feeling alone is what separates suffering from wisdom. It is possible to live on your own and feel complete. Similarly, there are those who are surrounded by people and yet are drowning in loneliness. The secret lies in how one builds one's own company over the years. One patient once told me, "Doctor, I discovered that my best company is myself. It just took me 72 years to realize it." That phrase struck me because it reveals something no one teaches. Loneliness in old age does not have to be synonymous with suffering. It can be a gateway to self-knowledge, spirituality, and profound well-being. But for that to happen, preparation is necessary. Emotional preparation, psychological preparation, and above all, an honest understanding of reality. And it's only with this kind of awareness that we begin to understand the true cost of dependence, a topic that needs to be unveiled in the next section. The price of dependence, how attachment can hurt you in old age. There is an emotional trap that many realize far too late: the excessive dependence on others for happiness. When someone places their entire sense of life in their children, their spouse, or even friends, they run a serious risk of losing their own identity in the process. And in later life, that loss comes with a high price. Longevity isn't just about living longer, it's about living well. And that only happens when an elderly person is capable of maintaining their emotional autonomy and sense of purpose, even when constant presences vanish. Healthy aging begins long before wrinkles appear. It starts with building a strong, independent, and serene mind. Emotional dependence often goes hand in hand with physical dependence, which can accelerate functional decline. A colleague once told me, "Growing old without dependence is more important than growing old without pain." And he's right, because those who learn to rely on themselves without isolating develop a rare skill, the balance between connection and freedom. And that is an invisible protective factor against depression and late anxiety. It is important to understand that this isn't about becoming a hermit, but about knowing that you remain whole, even in the absence of someone else. An 81-year-old patient once told me something profound. "Doctor, it was only after I became widowed that I realized I had to relearn how to live alone." That relearning is tough, but necessary. Cultivating life habits that strengthen your self-esteem, your independence, and your spirituality is the way to avoid sinking when bonds weaken. This includes learning new activities, taking care of your own routine, and yes, making plans even if no one is around to cheer for you. Emotional maturity, as I often say in consultations, is like an invisible shield. It doesn't prevent you from feeling pain, but it prevents pain from consuming you. And that is vital when we talk about preventing mental illnesses in later life. A mind occupied with what builds you up, a routine centered on what truly matters, these all contribute to a lighter, more dignified and happier aging process. And it's along that path that many rediscover hidden strengths, even in faith. But for that to truly happen, it is necessary to prepare in dimensions that few usually address: spiritual, mental, and financial. Are you enjoying the video so far? If these reflections resonate with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It helps to bring this content to more people who, like you, are in search of greater longevity, well-being, and a conscious, healthy aging process. Let's walk this path together. The preparation. No one talks about spiritual, financial, and mental. Few people talk about this. But aging well requires a kind of quiet and deep preparation, the kind that isn't visible in blood tests or family photos. I'm talking about spiritual, financial, and mental preparation. These three pillars are the foundation for a life of dignity in later years, and ignoring them can be very costly. Many believe that having a secure retirement is enough, but what about the spirit and the mind? A long life without an inner structure can turn into a labyrinth of insecurities, fears, and regrets. Let's start with faith. Yes, with spirituality. I have accompanied countless patients who, even when alone, maintained an admirable inner peace. "Doctor, my prayer sustains me more than any visit," said a 90-year-old lady. And she was right. Prayer, inner silence, a connection with God, these all strengthen resilience in the face of loneliness, loss, and illness. And contrary to what many believe, this spiritual strength can be cultivated with small daily habits: reading a passage of the Bible, giving thanks before sleeping, meditating on one's own story. In the financial realm, the reality is harsh. Many elderly people live at the mercy of others' help because they never planned for their old age. It's not about having a lot, but about knowing how to make the most of what you have, planning expenses, understanding your rights, seeking support when necessary. Everything contributes to emotional and physical well-being. Believe me, avoiding debt and knowing where to invest resources is a form of self-care. As Dr. Alexandra Kalash, a world reference in aging, once said, aging without economic independence is a risk of humiliation, and no one deserves that after a lifetime of hard work. Lastly, the mind. Oh, how it gets neglected. The brain also needs stimulation, challenge and affection. Writing letters, doing crosswords, discussing various topics, learning something new, all help prevent cognitive decline and maintain a sense of existence. Science confirms it. People who keep their minds active live longer and better. Because when trained, the mind becomes a refuge against sadness and emptiness. And it is with that strong mind that we are able to see the value in small things, even in the simple bonds of everyday life, as we will see next. The power of small bonds. How simple connections keep you alive. There are those who wait for great friendships to feel loved, but they forget that it's the simple bonds that support everyday life. A quick chat with the neighbor at the gate, a sincere good morning at the bakery, exchanging smiles with the lady at the market. These all nourish the heart. And more than that, these small contacts are essential to keep the mind active and the mood balanced. Health in later life is directly linked to the sense of belonging, even if that belonging comes from discreet, everyday gestures. It's not necessary to have dozens of friends to age well. Having one or two genuine connections is enough. A weekly phone call, a prayer group, a chat on the park bench, simple, consistent, sincere relationships. That is prevention against emotional illnesses. I have seen patients overcome deep bouts of sadness simply by feeling useful again within small circles. Doctor, just knowing that someone is waiting for my call changes my day, said a gentleman who regained his enthusiasm after joining a church group. Human connection is the best medicine. It's important to remember, longevity does not go hand in hand with isolation. And I'm not talking about parties or crowds, I'm talking about presence. The presence of someone who listens, who smiles, who cares. A spontaneous hug can balance your blood pressure. A good conversation can ward off insomnia. And best of all, science has already proven all this. The so-called neuropeptides of empathy, substances released during affectionate interactions, have an anti-inflammatory effect and strengthen the immune system. In other words, affection also heals. So if you think you're alone because you don't have many friends, think again. Maybe what's missing is intention, not quantity. Look around you. Sometimes the seed of a new bond is in the good morning you haven't yet given. Loneliness weakens, but interaction, even if small, strengthens. And it's in that environment of simple, genuine presence that many rediscover something greater, inner peace, and the awareness that they're never truly alone when they are at peace with God. You are not alone. If you are at peace with yourself and God, there is a kind of silence that heals, a silence that doesn't hurt but embraces. It is in that sacred space between the soul and the Creator that many elderly people find something that no one can take away from them: peace. Loneliness, when looked at from another perspective, ceases to be a punishment and becomes an opportunity. An opportunity to know oneself, to listen to oneself, to reconcile with one's own history. And believe me, many of the emotionally strongest elders I have met were precisely those who transformed the absence of human company into divine presence. In these cases, prayer becomes daily company. It is not about mechanical religiosity, it's about intimacy with God. Doctor, when I talk to God in the morning, it feels like the day starts with a hug, said an 86-year-old patient who overcame a deep grief. And it is true. The act of praying regulates breathing, relieves stress, reduces heart rate. Everything contributes to physical and mental well-being. More than that, it gives meaning. And where there is meaning, there is health. Where there is gratitude, there is strength. Where there is faith, there is a way, even in the darkness. Living in the now with awareness is a rare gift. Many live anchored in the past, others dream solely about the future, but the wisest live the present with reverence. They learn to laugh alone, to enjoy a calm breakfast, to walk slowly and be thankful for every step. These are the true masters of resilience, because they have discovered that time, when well lived, does not need to be filled with noise. It just needs to be filled with presence. And that presence begins within, in the spirit, in the mind, and in the heart that has learned to rely on itself without hardening. Aging in peace means being your own friend. It means knowing that, even when the world falls silent, your soul can still sing. Those who learn to listen to themselves with care, who talk to themselves like an old companion, are never completely alone. Faith, silence, gratitude, that is the tripod for healthy and fulfilled aging. And perhaps now is the time to look within and ask yourself honestly, are you ready to become your own best friend? And now, with everything you have heard so far, answer me honestly. Are you really ready to grow old alone? Or are you still relying on the hope that someone will always be by your side? The truth is that time does not forgive those who ignore the signs. And aging, when it comes without preparation, can be harsh, lonely, and cruel. But when it comes with awareness, it becomes one of the wisest, deepest, and most liberating phases of life. If this video has touched you, I invite you to leave your comment down below. Tell me, which part made you reflect the most? Have you experienced or are you experiencing something similar? Sharing your experience can help many people who feel the same way and sometimes just need a word to find the strength to carry on. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. By doing so and activating the notification bell, you will have access to content that can totally change the way you manage your health, your mind, and your journey toward a longevity full of meaning. Every new video brings real tools to live better, with more resilience, less pain, greater well-being, and with a sustaining faith. So, stay with us. There is a lot of important content coming up, and you won't want to miss it. See you in the next video. Take care, God bless you, and remember, it's never too late to prepare to live your best years. A big hug.